for March 20th, 2025. We are starting approximately at 2:04 p.m. I call this meeting to order. Please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I'll have our secretary, also our president pro tem, perform a roll call.
Yeah, I can see that Andrew's here, I'm here, Paul's here, and our solicitor, Frank Daly, is also here. And I understand that I could see that Vince Rangione is joining us remotely.
Thank you. All of you should have received the agenda more than the 24 hours required public notice. The agenda was also posted here in the courthouse and on our website, and you received it via email. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second,
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. At this time, we will open the meeting to the public concerning any items on the agenda. We have no one here presently and no one is online, so we'll move on to the next item. All of you should have received the minutes of the February 2025 DeSigra meeting provided by our secretary, Ron Evans, I believe within a week after our meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second,
Okay. Any questions or comments concerning the minutes? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. At this time, I'll turn our meeting over to our treasurer for the treasurer's report.
Alrighty. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So this treasurer's report was emailed out, and I'll go over it now. So we did have a statement beginning balance of $337,620.73. During the period of February, we had checks and payments clearing an amount of $81,722.20. We did receive a deposits, and which includes our quarterly deposit as well as $721.12 in interest, totaling $264,448.53, which gave us a statement ending balance of $520,340.06. Can I have a motion to approve the?
You can make.
Oh, yeah. So I make the motion to approve the March 2025 treasurer's report. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Motion has been made in second.
I do have a quick comment because I don't know. I just want everybody to be aware, and excuse me, Mr. Treasurer. We do have a pending payment for Cheney University. There were some issues, not some issues, but something with the grant agreement. So we're working on that. And once we have the grant agreement, we'll release that payment. So I just wanted to make everybody aware.
Thank you for that.
You can proceed.
Yep. All right. So any other questions to the motion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
aye,
Opposed? Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next, I'll make a motion to approve a payment of the invoice 1016 in the amount of $1,250 to Majan Technologies. Second to the motion?
second,
All right. The motion has been made and seconded. All in favor? Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Questions to the motion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
All right, any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next, I make a motion to approve the payment of invoice 86568 for $957.50 to Brinker Simpson. Any seconds?
second,
All right, the motion has been made in second. Questions to the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
aye,
All right, any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, so update on grant agreements not received. So I'm not aware of any grant agreements not received, and we did just get informed by our chair that we do have the one payment to Cheney pending. All grant payments have been mailed and endorsed as of yesterday's date. Next thing, there was an email sent out by our chair that included a draft of the budget The draft of the budget that we're voting on was sent out in an email by myself for February 18th, 2025. That is the budget that has our remaining balance at the end of the year at 100,000. That was a request that the board collectively came to. We wanted to ensure that we were getting that money out to the grantees as opposed to carrying it over. So when I make this motion, I want to make it clear that we're making the motion to approve the budget that has the remaining balance of 100,000, not the budget that came in the email with the board packet. With that being said, I make the motion to approve our revised 2025 budget as sent out on February 18th.
Second.
The motion has been made in second. Any questions to the motion?
So the one that was sent out has an ending balance of 236,000.
Right, that's not the one we're voting on. Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and
I will say that that was my mistake. Our treasurer did send out a revised budget on February 18th. I must have grabbed the wrong document and included it in this package. But the document that he provided with the $100,000 balance is the correct document. So I may have sent out an older version of it, but we're
Yeah.
going by the document that he's stating.
That was sent before the February meeting?
it was,
Yeah.
that was so everybody received it. If anybody wants to re-receive it, I can send it to you right now. If you want to see it before we vote, that's totally fine. Just let me know. All right.
I also want to say, I thank you, everyone, for the spirited discussion at our last meeting. I understand where the authority position is on the budget, and I'm totally fine with it, and we can proceed in this manner along with the steps rolling throughout the year. So I'm fine with this the way it is. So I just wanted to make that comment.
All right. All right, hearing,
Rajion, any comments? You okay?
I'm okay. Yep.
Thank you.
all right, hearing no other questions, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Mr. Chair, this concludes my treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Mr. Nelson. At this time, I'll turn it over to our solicitor, Mr. Frank Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As reported last month, I'm working on a record retention policy. I have sent a draft of one to our chair and to our secretary. It is really quite involved. I wish to collaborate with Barbara Kane Thornton, our auditors, as well as the county solicitor, to make sure that we're all in agreement and conformance as to these policies. We have some very practical problems. For example, where have we been keeping all of our minutes? Probably in Ron's computer. But maybe we actually physically have to maintain that. So
Well,
things
they're-
like
they're on the
practical
website,
things.
So it's more than.
And the
just my
website
computer.
has it also, which is great.
We'll count on my computer.
Okay, so obviously I've not asked for anything to be put on the agenda for this month, but hopefully next month we'll have it on the agenda.
Mr. Solicitor, I do have a question.
Yes,
Where will we keep those hard copies if that becomes a thing?
I've been involved with municipalities that have those ringed books that everything just piles up. I have a suspicion that we probably should have one also. We don't have staff. We don't have an office.
Correct.
So it makes it, as a practical matter, that's one of the reasons I wanted to confer with the county.
Understood. Okay.
And the only other thing is coming up under new business, under the Next Gen grant. I believe you wish me to play an ad by April 1st, not to get ahead of us, but if so, if you could do your usual good job of sending me a draft of what it should look like, I'll be glad to have it, assuming it passes, to put the ad in by April 1st.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for the solicitor? Do you have everyone's statement of financial, or have they been submitted to your knowledge?
Well, there's only 3 that went through me.
Okay.
So I did Ron's, I did yours, and I have, actually, I saw Francis's.
Okay.
So
You did
So-
mine.
I did yours also?
No, I would say that to me.
Yeah, you did yours online.
I did mine online also.
So it sounds like it's
And
5
Benton
for
said
5.
you did
Yes.
his.
That's everybody.
Okay, thank you. Any other thing out in the horizon that we need to be aware of in the external environment?
Yeah.
concerning our activities that you're aware of?
I'm being a little dense, but I'm not sure what you're getting at.
Okay, we'll talk later. All right, thank
Are you
you.
referring to activities in Washington? Perhaps? I don't think they're going to affect us.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. At this time, we'll open up the meeting to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? Moving on, we'll move on to new business. Do I have a motion to allocate up to $200,000 for next generation grant category? We voted to approve advertising of this grant at our last meeting. So this is an allocation from our budget. As we said, we would do this on a rolling basis throughout the year.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Abstained? Motion carried. Is there any discussion on, and I don't know if this is a voting item per se, Mr. Solicitor. I believe the grant maximum amount was $10,000. So
As
I
set
don't,
by us.
as said on the application, yes.
Right.
I don't know if that was ever I don't know if that's a motion per se, as far as the grant amounts. So I don't know if anybody wants to discuss the grant amount, or do we just want to keep it the same?
Well, that's what I was going to say, that if you were to pass the motion now, it would be that the assumption would be the next generation grant would contain the same parameters as it always has.
Correct.
If you wanted to increase that or lessen it for that matter, that would require a separate motion.
Okay, because I'm trying to recall if that was a motion in a prior change of the grant amount. So for example, with the next generation grant amount, I don't believe that increase was in a motion. I think it was more of a discussion,
Well,
because I think that's more of an internal.
as you
Vince, I don't
said,
know
the
if you can
adjustments.
weigh in on this, or if you recall that.
I don't recall specifically what we did in the past, whether it was a motion or not. I'm open to raising the amount that an individual grantee could apply for and receive, but my fear is that oftentimes we run over the total amount even with the smaller grants. So while I would be in favor of increasing the amount and in a very targeted way, giving certain well-qualified, with good track record organizations larger grants, my concern would be that the total amount would blow up. I mean, if we went from 10 to say 20, and everybody was just approving everything, we'd have another motion to raise the total amount from 200 to 300 to 400. And I'm afraid of that slippery slope.
All right, no problem.
Yeah.
What if we kept it as is without making a motion, but then we had internal discussion amongst ourselves once we go through and get all of the grantees? If we realize maybe we're short, maybe it's possible that if this is a second or a third award and we've seen that the program has grown, maybe we can just then at that time have a discussion and increase it like Vince said, in a very targeted manner.
Right, but we can increase the allocations. That's not an issue. I think the issue is a grantee, let's say a grantee request. A
Yeah.
grantee request or needs 15,000, but our max is 10,000. Technically, we're confined to awarding 10,000. Now, there's nothing to stop us from doing an additional round, and that applicant may be eligible to apply for an additional 5,000. I'm just trying to.
Well,
make
no, it's a good point, Mr. Chairman. It's a good point. I think the concern would be that an organization program of merit would need 15, but would be capped at applying for 10. I think the counterpoint is a lot of would-be grantees are going to apply for the maximum regardless. So I just want to be careful about that, I guess.
Right. And I think I'm thinking more of the logistics and making, checking with you and the solicitor and as well as my colleagues. I'm just trying to recall if maybe we put the grant amount into that motion and that maybe that's how that the food insecurity, for example, that used to be 10,000 all the time. I'm thinking maybe we put that new grant amount into that motion. So maybe it was part of a approval because it's not de minimis in nature.
Sure. Well, the main feature of the motion will be the allocation of $200,000.
Correct.
That's on the agenda that can be voted upon. In turn, and now we've allocated 200,000 from our budget for these grants.
Right.
Internally, if we want to make adjustments, 5,000, 10,000, 15, I think that's fine.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So are we sticking with the last year's max of
I think we're
10,000?
gonna, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Just for.
Yeah, because, and that just leaves it where we could adjust if needed without signaling to everybody, hey, request 15 now or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
But
Let's see what
the announcement will say up to a max of 10,000.
Correct.
And the application will say that. So it might be much, we might be much more open-minded to give them more, but it's kind of like we've said, only 10,000 per this grant allocation.
I guess
Well,
my question would be,
we've received grants before that are, the request is more than what we say the maximum is anyway.
right.
I don't know.
I mean,
Occasionally.
Usually they just ask for the max. Like, as Vince said,
Usually.
whether they need it or not.
Correct.
Whether, yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess ultimately my question is, if we put out the grant application and we say a max of $10,000 and that's our standard practice, but then if we all collectively agree that we want to give one organization $15,000, our hands are not tied from doing that,
They
is
are
it?
not. We can
Correct.
make a motion for, we can make a motion for an amount above what they requested. As long as it's within the allocation,
Yeah.
the total allocation.
Of
unless we
200,000.
Increase the total allocation.
Correct.
Which we've done, and Vince and I are kind of on the same page where we want to kind of be, I think we're on the same page of being careful about the total allocation.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But we have a
because
little bit of-
we don't want our budget to be out of variance
correct, yeah,
because that just doesn't look good.
yeah. So we'll put it for 10,000 for now, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
All right, good. All right, at this time, I will open the meeting. Any other new business? I'm sorry. At this time, I'll open up the meeting for any public comment. Okay, we have no public comment. At this time of the meeting, I'll open it up to authority comments. I just want to thank our colleagues for, I know I wasn't the biggest fan of outsourcing some of the back office stuff that we're doing, but it is making a difference. I think it's
Absolutely.
making a substantial difference as far as the workload that I have, even our treasurer has, and sometimes you have to try things out as far as operations, and then when you see that they're working, I feel like they're working. Those contracts will be coming up for renewal, so we'll be looking at those for the next meeting, and hopefully hopefully if everyone's in agreement, we'll have an approval of those. So that's all I wanted to say, and just thank my colleagues.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the authority? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?